Let's try to break down your own Program 21 game. Again, this must be individual work, and it is something that will be sent through plagiarism checking. And so I would recommend adding a lot of comments within your code. The basic rules of the game that you're developing is there will be two players, one being player 1 and one being player 2. They'll both be named. And they're going to take turns rolling a six-sided die. So we must find a way to develop a random number generator for that. So in other words, it sends out a value that's between 0 and 6, or 1 and 6. Players add the number they roll to their running total. So every time I roll, I add those values or accumulate them. A player rounds until one of the player reaches 21, so we're playing to stay under 21. And the first player that reaches 21 loses the game. Each player does have a chance to pass, meaning that they don't have to roll the die. This right here is walking through the process of the code if we were running it. The red means what the user or the player put into the code. We have the description of cases, so like what's going on is that all players pass initially, so that'd be as if we just typed in P every single time, and it skips the first 4 turns. If we decide to roll, what happens is it's like typing in R 4 times in a row, and the rolls add to the player's total accordingly. And when player 1 wins, it's because they typed in roll, or player 2 typed in roll, and their values equals over 21, or vice versa with player 2. There are going to be 2 functions within it, and so you've got the play turn function, which takes the rolls and accumulates the values and or subtracts the passes. And then you have the pass or roll function, which is taking the scripts that you send in there, whether they be R, lowercase r, P, or lowercase p, and taking the correct action with them. Here's a basic structure for you and further information on both those functions. Let's look at it in MATLAB. And so I'm going to just type in game 21. And it's going to say who is player 1. I'm going to say that Taylor is player 1. And I'm going to say that Pat is player 2. We had a space prompt out, and it is setting up as round 1. Player Taylor to want to pass or roll, so we're going to say that Taylor wants to pass. It's going to prompt out that Taylor passed on her roll, or his roll. And then player Pat, we're going to say Pat would like to roll, and it rolls a 6. And so now we have this print come out, which is really probably just a big F print, where it says Taylor rolled 0 as far as her values. She has 1 pass. Pat rolled a total of 6 and has a passes of 2. So we're going to pass for Taylor again and roll for Pat. Pat rolled a 4. Notice that that's accumulated between the 6 and the 4, and that now Taylor's passes are out. So we're going to say that Taylor's not paying attention to the game and decides to pass again. And so now it rolled a value for them independent of what she put in. And we're going to roll for Pat. Pat's now at 16. Taylor's going to roll. So now they're going to get a 6. And Pat will pass. So now Taylor has the 1 plus 6 is there. Pat had 2 passes, decided to pass, and it's now down to 1. So Taylor is going to roll again. Roll to 5. Pat will pass. So we're at 12 and 16. Now I believe everyone's going to roll every time because no one has the ability to pass anymore. So there's a 5 there, and there's the end of the game. And so we had 5, which add to our 16, which put us directly at 21, which ended the game. And it's going to tell me that Taylor wins because the value is less than 17. You do want to notice that the rounds did accumulate as we went through. If you want, you can see the variables that I utilized over here within the code. And so I have different prompts and I have different strings that I've used to make that happen. And that is the basics of the code.